What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. Well, listen, I want to talk about this because it was like, wow, this is just confirmation of what I was talking about when I was sharing my thoughts on the untimely passing of Keke Jabbar. And so I want to talk about this for a minute and get your thoughts on it. But for those of you who heard my couple of previous commentaries about it, I was a little bit apprehensive, but I just had to be real in my feelings and just be as beautifully honest as possible to say that this stuff where people just try to, when someone passes away, when we who are the viewing audience saw that it was your actions pretty much and the words out of your mouth that pretty much dictated the way you wanted this relationship to go. And when Tisha said that this woman was DEAD to her and now she is, like, literally, and then after she's gone, you want to come out and make it like, oh my God, now she's gone. You think one day you're going to make up and then that day's never going to happen. That's what you chose. And, my last thoughts that I have and memories that I have of this beautiful woman on television was how they treated her and how they tried to make her seem like she was just some low-life druggie out here in the streets bumming money to get the next fix. That was not her. She was a professor. She was a very highly educated woman. She actually was an inspiration to her cousin Tisha and her even going to college and different things like that. I remember her interviews and the things that she shared, and I had no reason to doubt her or not believe anything that she said. She just unfortunately got in a situation that was, I believe, caused by the doctors. And I talked about that a little bit too. And not, but even with all of that being said, that's just a chapter in her book of life. That was not her complete story. All right. And so I just didn't think that it was fair that they tried to make a chapter in her book of life, her complete story. And so many people have that story, and it may not be prescriptions. It may be something else. And so it's not right, because most people who have chosen to take other substances, it's because of other deep, dark, underlying issues that have not been addressed. But I digress. When I heard about this, I was like, thank you, God, because this is what I was feeling. Not saying it's any of my business or I could dictate who should go to her homegoing, who should go to her memorial, who should go to her wake or whatever they're going to have for her. I just was thinking about that, and I found it being weird if they did show up and either acting like all is well or the tension is there and then, God forbid, something else pops off, because that's just not the time and place for it. So with that being said, I was listening to some commentary by Empress Radio, and she shared a Facebook post that Keke's uncle shared on Facebook to Wanda, Tisha, Wanda's, whoever else is connected to Wanda, Tisha, and her husband. To the Moors, as a collective, the Dawsons ask that you respect our privacy during this unfathomable tragedy. We need the time and space to properly grieve our beloved Keke. With that being said, due to the contentiousness of your relationships with Keke, we ask respectfully that you refrain from showing up to any of the services pertaining to her homegoing. Those precious days are meant for loved ones of the deceased to mourn and celebrate. The uncouth behavior and vitriol that you have continuously spewed towards Keke in her final years have left a lasting impact and sparked indignation in us, the Dawsons. Listen, he couldn't have said it better, and I was actually so glad when I heard this, because like I said, it's none of my business who goes to her homegoing services, who doesn't, should they be there, should they not. It's none of my business, but I just... one of the reasons why I was even talking about this is because of the post that Keke put out there after we learned that she passed, and also thinking, okay, how can you even show your faces at those places where they're going to be mourning her and celebrating her life when you just recently said that she was DEAD to you, and how ugly Tisha's mom has been about her, and just it's just a bunch of nastiness. So that statement says it all, and I was so glad to hear it, because that's one of the reasons why I just wanted to talk about this. Death and life are real. Death is inevitable for anyone who is alive. No one knows the day nor the hour. How we choose to spend our days in the life that we are gifted is our choice. Period. And the fact that they spent so many of their days, even if it wasn't every day, but even though it happened enough, more than enough, too much. So the fact that they chose to spend their days because of some stuff that really, in God's truth and honesty, Keke was trying to look out for Tisha, and Tisha even asked her to help her to look and be a sleuth, and let's look through these messages and look through this phone and whatever, to see that her husband is who she knows he is, but she just wants to accept it. And then because of the influence of him over her, she chooses to cut off her cousin that she said she was really close to. It's just not right to just, now that she's no longer here, try to change the narrative a little bit, spruce it up a little bit, and then you want to go to the services. And for what? I wouldn't want to show my face there if I knew that I did not have a good relationship with this person once they passed away. You know, if you guys remember, if you watch the movie The 5 Heartbeats, and I'm not trying to equal their situation to this, but you remember the movie The 5 Heartbeats, and when Red showed up at the funeral of the manager that he was responsible for having taken out, making a scene, walking down the aisle of the church with a rose and acting like he was crying, and the people were looking at him like, how dare he show his face here? And even the widow, when he came over to her, she slapped him in the face. And how dare you show your face here? Again, like I said, I'm not trying to equal that situation to theirs, but basically, yeah, when you know that this person that passed away, you did not have a good ending with them before they left this earth, how dare you show your face at their homegoing services? You shouldn't even be there. We already know you for your works and for your deeds. So allow us this space and time to mourn and to try to celebrate the life, even though we're hurting. They just need to shut up, go off of the grid for a while. I don't follow them, have no interest in what they're doing, but I'm just basically saying that I'm glad that the uncle called it out. And I'm also glad because I did not feel that her passing had anything to do with her past struggles. And I say past because they were past. I believe every word that she said. And it's unfortunate to hear that, you know, it was an accidental passing, because I actually, when I heard about it, I was thinking that she had some underlying health condition or issue, because I remember her talking about she kept going back and forth to the hospital and it was having pains in her back. So I was thinking that maybe it was like, unfortunately, something that was underlying, that either she had not expressed or exposed to the public, because everyone's health is not everyone's business. People choose to share that information, or sometimes it gets leaked or it gets out. So it's none of anyone's business what somebody's going through in their physical bodies and in their health. So I just assumed that it was an underlying health issue. So when I heard that she had passed away of an accidental carbon monoxide poisoning, I was like, oh my God, that happens often, guys. It really does. It's really so many times, if you go and Google, so many times that has happened, and it's just really sad. So the New York post shared that a YouTube vlogger by the name of Joanne Jenkins shared that Keke did not overdose. Keke did not take her own life. She loved life. Keke was not ready to leave life. She wasn't ready to leave her children, her husband, or her family. The vlogger claimed that the late reality star would often get sleepy and go to sleep wherever. And she decided to get some shut-eye after experiencing an issue with her car. So 7-something in the morning, her husband goes to the garage and he sees Keke, what he thinks is asleep, in the car. He tries to get her attention. He opens the car up and she isn't breathing. And it's just tragic. Accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. So I'm glad that that's out too, because I didn't want to really talk about that too much, even though I did address the light that they tried to shine on her to try to make her seem like she was this addict, this low-life addict. It's just disgusting. I didn't think that had anything to do with her passing, but I just was assuming that it was an underlying health condition, especially when that other statement that was released said something about how she passed away at home surrounded by loved ones and love. It honestly, it sounded like somebody who was in hospice in a sense. You know what I mean? So that statement is questionable at this point in time as well, in my personal opinion. But I digress. I am happy that the uncle had the boldness to put that statement out there, to put them on notice. We know you all are up on these internet streets. We know y'all stay up in Facebook. You're probably in some of the Facebook hate groups and things like that. So while you're on here, listen up. So I don't know if he tagged them in the post or whatever, but I'm glad. And the way the statement was written, it's a clear indication that Keke was an apple that did not fall far from the tree of excellence and education. Because I don't know if you picked it up, but just reading those words, very eloquent, very well spoken, the words that were used, and then you got Tisha's mom, who probably can't even go without misspelling a word that only has 3 letters in it, in my personal opinion. I just am happy to hear that they're being real about this situation and would not allow this time of mourning and celebrating the life of Keke to be taken away by having them show up, because it would not be right. It would be extremely uncomfortable. And if something were to pop off because the feelings are there, it would take away from the moment, and they don't need to show up. So if they were planning on showing up, because who knows, they could have just put that post out there on social media and had no intentions of showing up. It's possible, because people do stuff for social media to try to show and prove a point sometimes. But I will say that I'm glad that they put them on notice to let them know, look, you're not welcome. And I'm all for it. So guys, you let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and I'm going to say bye. Don't wanna talk, don't wanna see, don't wanna feel it.